Welcome to the Wackadoo Unhinged podcast. Brought to you live every Tuesday from Wackadoo Brewing in Colorado Springs, veteran owned and operated. 20 beers on tap at all time, all made in-house. All about beer, our brewery, amazing local businesses, local people, and a whole lot of randomness. Wackadoo Unhinged!
Hey everybody, it's Steve and welcome to Wackadoo Brewing. This is Wackadoo Unhinged, episode number 35. I am here as always with my co-host Dennis and the Brew Squatch, aka Sean, and our special guest today is Mr. Oscar. Oscar, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you.
And today we're going to be talking about a very important, very, I don't even know the best way to, very impactful nonprofit organization for veterans. And yours is probably one of the biggest nationwide that we work with. And it's an absolute honor to be here today talking with you, or you're going to talk to us about Honor Flight.
Perfect.
So it's one of our single biggest days for one of the events we do here as a fundraiser on the 4th of July this year and every year from going forward. We are going to be doing we call Flights for Flights. So the entire day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., every single flight and every single squadron we sell, we are donating 100% of the money directly to your foundation. And last year, we donated $1,880, and I'm very confident this year we'll be able to beat that.
Well, that is perfect. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So it's great to have you on the show, and it's been a beautiful day outside. I can't lie. I went for a ride this morning. I know most of the other guys went for a ride today, and it's just absolutely fantastic out here. So, Oscar, first and foremost, what is Honor Flight for anybody who doesn't know?
Okay, so Honor Flight, and before I get started with the description on Honor Flight, I want to say to you publicly, thank you so much for what you do for not only our veterans, but also for our organization and just for veterans in general.
No, absolutely.
In the Colorado Springs area. I've seen your work. I know who you work with, and we are extremely grateful and eternally grateful for what you do with us and for us. And
Thank you.
You've met our veteran. You came our veterans. You came last year to our picnic event. Our picnic this year is going to be right now on Sunday, 2 August at the Norris Penrose Center from 1 to 3.
That is when me and Renee are getting married.
Oh, okay. Come from the wedding,
Yeah.
and then come to our event.
Oh man!
And if you guys are still in your wedding attire, we'll sing to you, and you guys can do your first wedding dance with us. How about that?
That'd be something special. Yeah. Damn, I didn't know it was the same day. Yeah, we can't move the wedding now. We got too much stuff already.
I'm just saying,
laid out.
just
just show up.
Bring the reception.
I don't know.
It'll be fine.
It might be a little awkward because I'm getting married in my blues.
That'll be fine. You'll be the best dressed one there,
Right.
Ron. So that's fine.
That'd be the best dressed I've ever been.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Honor Flight. Honor Flight is a national organization that was started by two men in 2005, Earl and Steve. And they are fantastic humans. They met kind of in an odd way. They were trying to bring World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. for the opening of the World War II Memorial. And they were introduced to each other. One was flying a plane from Ohio, one was flying a plane from North Carolina, and friends, there was a person that knew both of them that said, you guys ought to talk, because I think you're trying to do the same thing. And that was essentially the first Honor Flight, two gentlemen flying Cessnas, one from Ohio, one from North Carolina, and they met at Reagan National Airport, got their guys in the cars and took like 12 veterans to the World War II Memorial. And from that, the concept of Honor Flight was born.
That's fantastic.
And from
and
that...
doing those particular flights and Cessna, that's dedication.
Yeah, right. You know,
That's not a big, comfy airplane.
no, and they brought 6 people each, right?
Yeah.
So they had them packed in pretty good. And they brought the World War II veterans. And so initially when Honor Flight started in 2005, it was specifically designed for World War II veterans and bringing them to Washington, D.C. to see the World War II memorial. Now, it has morphed over the last 20 years. Honor Flight National Headquarters and National Hub is celebrating their 20th year of existence. In those 20 years, they have gone from no hubs to 135.
Oh, wow.
Still growing, right? In the 20th year, they're going to probably break 140 hubs.
That's amazing.
Then in that time frame, in those 20 years, they've taken over 400,000 veterans of the World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam War era to Washington, D.C. to fulfill the mission of Honor Flight, which is to bring those eras to Washington to see the memorials built in their honor.
Yeah.
On a personal note, I would like to thank Honor Flight Foundation. My grandfather actually got to go to D.C. with y'all
Yep.
last fall.
Yep.
Okay, here? From here?
He flew out of Louisville.
Okay.
And through random happenstance, I happened to be in the state, so I got to see him get off the plane. I don't think I've ever seen that man with a larger smile on his face.
Yeah, we hope to bring goodness into the lives of others, right? I think that's kind of the main reason we do what we do. Personally, here in Honor Flight of Southern Colorado, we started in 2011 on a shoestring budget. We started with our first flight then, and we are now preparing for Mission 23 with a 2-year hiatus for COVID. But we're starting our 23rd mission planning phase right now.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is, we have gone through our fits and starts like any other nonprofit organization, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
We kind of lost the bubble a little bit, and in the almost 5 years that I have been on the board, we have gone from $0 in the bank, no people, to a pretty healthy bank account.
Yeah.
And we have almost 400 veterans on our waiting list. We normally try to do 2 bus loads now, which is between 50 to 56, 58 people, whatever it kind of settles into. But we normally try to do that this particular trip coming up in October 2 through 3 of this year, which is a Friday and a Saturday. We're aiming for 90 veterans. Probably about 150 people total with volunteers and with guardians as well. That'll be our largest flight by far, and it'll be hopefully as impactful as the flights we normally do for our veterans now.
Yeah, that is fantastic. A couple of mornings ago, I was at the Vietnam Veterans Association. By the way, I did not know this until I got there. I'm now a lifetime member, an associate member.
Okay.
So
as am I.
Yeah, and I had no idea, how big it was, and I went in there and I saw several people from Honor Flight and several from the Honor Bell Society, and that was one of the big things they were talking about. The commander got up there and how many people have been on Honor Flight? See the hands raised. How many people are on this next Honor Flight? A couple of people raised their hands, and and they were very serious about if you're not on the waiting list, get on the waiting list. Now is your time to go, and to see such an impact, from your organization, the people that have come into the brewery or the people that I've met at other organizations that have either been on the flight or going to be on the flight or they've been a guardian for it is absolutely amazing to see how far the reach is now with Honor Flight.
Well, we and thank you for that. We have tried to be very good stewards of not only the mission but also the people that go on the mission. Our board members, we have 14 very hardworking board members, and we're a working board, so we don't have any paid staff. We don't have an executive director. We have a president. I'm the vice president, and then we have 2 other two other officers on the board, and we stay very, very, very busy.
Yeah.
And right now we're planning for our upcoming trip. We're planning for the pre-flight luncheon that goes before that. We're planning for our annual picnic. We try to bring all of our veterans, the ones that are still with us, and we invite them to come to a yearly event. We have good food. Our veterans normally do not pay for anything. So when we have an event like this, we bring them for free. We ask family members to come and pay a nominal fee for the food and stuff that we have to provide. But for the most part, it's just a chance for a lot of these folks really to catch up.
Yeah. The one last year was at the airplane museum.
Yep, it was.
That was amazing.
Yeah, and thank you for that too. That was our first time at a place like that. Thought it was a good idea to bring, especially World War II and Korean War era veterans into that. That's the National Aviation Museum of World War II aviation, but it's a great location. And it was a great event. We had over 300 people in the room.
Oh, that place was packed.
Yeah. And we're trying to bring that many this year. It's going to be at the Norris Penrose Center.
Oh, nice.
And so we're going to have, again, it's going to be a very good event, because one of the things we try to foster, and you know this because you've been around us enough, what we really try to foster with our group is to bring them into our community. So we talk about community, we talk about family, because Honor Flight of Southern Colorado is family. Mm-hmm. We want people to understand that this is a community built for you and specifically by you for your benefit.
Yeah.
And when we have so many good news stories with our veterans that try to get together as much as they can. If you're not working on a Friday, which I know you always are, but every Friday morning there is a breakfast at the McDonald's on Flint Ridge and Academy.
Flint Ridge and Academy. Okay. No, I can do that. I can sneak away because Renee's getting really good at covering for me.
There you go. 10 a.m.
Yeah. I was at VetNet this morning.
There you go.
Oh, we're trying.
Yep. So we also have a monthly veterans breakfast at the Chick-fil-A, actually right down the street.
Nice.
On Garden of the Gods. And
that's even easier.
Yeah. And we invite our veterans to come out. They've got a lot of side groups. So folks who went on different missions kind of get together on their own, and we really encourage that. And then we also try to bring those folks out together as a larger group, because we're trying to extend and make sure that folks understand that, we encourage folks to be together. We ask them to be together because one of the things we try to work on, and this, if you have older adults in your life, one of the things that happens when you get older is there's a sense of loss.
Yeah.
A sense of loneliness.
I'm not even that old, and I already have seen the people that have passed away or that are no longer in my life, and it's harder and harder every year. So the relationships you do have become that much more important.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yep. And one of the things we try to again encourage, especially for our veterans that live alone, right?
Yeah.
Come to our events. Pick up the phone and call folks. I told you about the gentleman that lives in Pagosa Springs.
Yep.
Right? He and I text every day.
I know. When you said that, it was like daily. I was like, wow, the impact. Well, it's just like everybody. I have never met a person that went on honor flight that it wasn't a life-changing experience for them in some way. The impact that has on them is night and day. Like you can see it with everyone. I've never seen a single person be like, oh, it was okay. No, everybody immediately has a reaction and a story from going on honor flight.
And I've talked to you about coming.
Yep.
As a guardian.
Yes.
I know you work. It's only 2 days. I think this place can run without you for a couple days. But I think if you're talking about life changing, you really get to see not only the effect, but you really see how our veterans really go back.
Yeah.
And I talk about, I remember my very first one, Mission 14. We left out of Mount Carmel Veteran Service Center They're a great supporter of ours. They've always been supporters of Honor Flight, and they let us use their facility for our first Honor Flight. And just to see those gentlemen and ladies, we had 28 veterans, I believe, on that Honor Flight, and it had been the first one in almost 3 years.
Yeah.
So they didn't know what they were getting into, and frankly, I didn't either, because it was my first Honor Flight as someone who was primarily in charge, and it was amazing just to see our veterans. And I'll put it in this term: they basically regained agency over their emotions and also their mental health in a lot of respects. We talk about our honor flights as journeys of healing. Now, what does that mean? We give our veterans the space and the agency to really confront many things that they were afraid of. You're a combat vet.
Yeah.
We've talked about what it is to be in combat and how many of those emotions and many of those things that are triggers for you, right? We both suffer through the same things, right? So we understand. And so it's many, imagine carrying those triggers and that trauma and that emotional baggage for 6 decades.
Yeah. That's unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah.
The one of the things we talk about specifically with our veterans, especially the Vietnam era veterans, is that survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing for veterans. We also talk about moral injury. Won't need to go deep into the science on this because I can talk about it literally for a whole separate podcast. But those two things specifically are things we really try to help folks at least confront.
Yeah.
If you've seen things you can't unsee and done things you can't undo, there is an injury to your moral fiber.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it was just like Sean, you said that for the longest time your grandfather wouldn't talk about anything at all.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I've heard 2 stories from Vietnam from that man, and then a third that I got secondhand.
Yeah.
That's it. And he started talking, the room went quiet, and then the topic got changed after he was done.
Yeah.
Well,
Did not care for it.
That is not uncommon.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even combat MOS. He was a mechanic, and still the things that happened that he saw.
Yeah.
Just
Well, it's one of those things when we're very aware. When we take on in a normal honor flight now, which is 2 buses, so you're talking between 50, 56, 57, 58 people. We take nurses, at least 2 per bus, right? Our medical team, led by one of our board members, Stacy Tone, they do a fantastic job with watching for our veterans, watching out for our veterans. It's not just the physical piece. We have a lot of veterans, primarily who are in the Vietnam era. They're sick with things, not just old age.
Yeah.
I came in 1982, so you're talking about people that are not that much older than me, but they suffer from a lot of different types of afflictions, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we try to be mindful of that. We also have at least one behavioral therapist that we take with us, Brian Murphy, also another board member who works for the VA, and he's a behavioral therapist. And he and a couple other folks who are trained to look for trauma, right, myself included, we look out, right?
Yeah.
Because we have folks, and your grandfather might have been like this. Oh, I don't need to go. Let somebody else go.
Yep. It's always somebody else needs it more than me.
Yeah, especially if they're an officer. Oh, no, this should be for the enlisted. No, it is for anyone who served, period. Whatever your MOS in Army speak, but whatever job you had, right? If you were in country or not in country, it doesn't matter. We take those who served on active duty, Guard, Reserve, any component, whether you served in country or not. I know in VBA, Vietnam Veterans of America, you have to have served in country, boots on the ground.
Yep.
With us, we don't have those distinctions, right? If you had on a military uniform between 1939 and December 1976, you're eligible, period. Starting in January of next year, January 2027, we're now going to start putting Desert Storm and Desert Shield veterans who served from the end of, say, beginning of 1976 all the way till July 1991. Now, why is that important? Because, one, many of our World War II and Korean War veterans have passed.
Yeah.
So that pool is much, much smaller. So, like with most folks, about 90% plus of the folks on our waiting list are Vietnam era veterans. Now, you can imagine El Paso County and southern Colorado as a whole. We don't lack for bodies.
No, I was blown away between the Vietnam Veterans Breakfast I went to over at Black Eyed Peas and then going to the Vietnam Veterans chapter and seeing how many of them there were here locally is incredible. You know, that room, there was probably 55 in there, and of course I was the youngest one by far, but to see that many still actively in the community veterans from Vietnam I didn't realize there were that many here.
It would blow your mind. Now, Tom Dowell does a great job working with Vietnam Veterans of America. In El Paso County, we have over 100,000 veterans, not just of our era, but of all eras.
Yeah.
But many of them are what's left of World War II, what's left of Korea, and then a ton of Vietnam era and on. I'm considered Desert Storm, Desert Shield. That memorial opens in D.C., officially opens on 24 October.
Okay.
So several of our folks on the board are actually going to be there at that. 24 October is also when we're going to do one of our big fundraisers for the year. You're not getting married on that date, right?
No.
Okay,
sorry.
good.
August 2nd.
Yeah, okay. Right, so we want to make sure.
No,
you
we're
can
not in Utah.
That's okay, But it's one of those things that we are going to start taking those veterans who served from that 1975 to July 1991 era as veterans, right? Which technically means I could go, right? I'm not gonna go, but it could be.
Now, why aren't you going to go?
Well,
Don't
it's
say
because
somebody else
I'm
deserves
just going to say, I've seen our waiting list.
Yeah.
Right? There's a whole nother decade before I'm even probably on the list to actually make it on a trip. So, but we're starting to take those folks. We also have a program called TLC. And also one called Lone Eagle. So for Lone Eagle, it is primarily if you're a veteran and you live way out that you're not even close to an actual hub. If you can't get there from there, Honor Flight will work with the closest hub and will literally take you on an Honor Flight by yourself. Frankly, it's not as much fun.
We should talk to the other Daniel that comes in here, because him and his wife live way out in the mountains. They come in one day a month into town, and they come here for our Mug Club dinner. They're Mug Club members, but that's it one day, and they live like 3 hours in the middle of nowhere.
Well, we specialize in getting to people in the middle of nowhere. Our area goes from essentially the beginning of El Paso County Monument all the way down to the New Mexico border, east to Kansas, west to Utah.
Wow, that's a pretty big area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I will tell you, one of our challenges, not a failing, but a challenge, is it is very difficult for us to make inroads into places that are really out there. Yeah. I've spoken in Trinidad. I've spoken in Walsenburg. I have spoken in La Junta. I think I have a chance to speak out in Alamosa. It is hard to get to those folks, especially if you don't know they exist.
Yeah.
So it is about us marketing and branding out in those areas, and I think we do a pretty good job. But it tends to be Colorado Springs, El Paso County, Fremont County centric.
Yeah.
There are 3 hubs in the state of Colorado. One way north in Fort Collins, that's called High Plains.
Okay.
The one in Denver is called Rocky Mountain, and then us.
Yeah.
And we get along. We don't try to steal each
I was
other's
gonna
folks.
say, I hope so.
And the biggest reason is we don't try to steal each other's folks, and we don't try to steal each other's money. All three of us have very, very large waiting list.
Yeah.
Right. So none of us are hurting for bodies. We try to stay in our territories when it comes to funding and reaching out to partners and corporate donors and stuff like that. So we try to keep it, on the QT right there. But for the most part, one of our big challenges with the Honor Flight of Southern Colorado is we don't know who we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
That's always the biggest problem, and that's why. Honestly, not to toot our own horn, but why I love this podcast is because there's so many nonprofits we've had on here, or so many other small business owners that nobody's ever heard of. But I mean, we run into the same thing. 90% of this town still has no idea who we are. Every time we go out to VetNet or A Million Cups, or even when I was out there for the dinner out there were people, when I sat down and I explained, why we were there at the dinner, they were like, "Who are you?" And I was like, yeah, and so getting the word out and all of us working together for those pushes, I think is a huge help, because there are still organizations, like kills me. There's still younger people that walk in the door and be like, "Oh, we're the only brewery in America to ever start in a VFW," and they go, "What's a VFW?" And it's like
unfortunately that is not surprising. It's about the same challenge you have with getting your message out.
Yeah.
I've tooted your horn many times in different places, got you out to 1 million cups. I thought that was very good. You need to come back.
That was very. I was just there last Wednesday.
Yeah, I know, but I need to get back to you, get you back to present.
Yes.
Again. And I think what you do for the veteran community is so impactful. You have no problem finding a vet.
No.
You have no problem finding, in this town, you have no problem finding a veteran-owned business in this town. I don't think there's a brewery in town, or frankly a distillery, that's not owned by a vet.
Yeah, there's 7 out of the 28 here in town are veteran-owned.
I'm surprised that number's not more.
And 2 of the distilleries
Kinda,
are.
Yeah. But because every brewery I know is veteran owned.
Well, that's why you know them.
There you go. and it's one of those things that we really try to connect into our veteran population here, because it is that goodness that we try to cultivate with our veterans of eras that came after Vietnam, because I think, not trying to get too emotional, we as veterans who came in after Vietnam, again, I came in 6 years after the end of Vietnam. When I joined the Navy in 1982, I was stationed at Newport, Rhode Island, Naval Education Training Center. We were not allowed to wear our uniforms off base.
Yeah.
They could tell who we were by our haircuts.
Yeah.
But you were not allowed to wear a uniform in public.
Yeah.
When I went to college, University of North Carolina, my first 2 years in ROTC, we're not allowed to wear our uniforms on campus. And we're talking 83, 84, and 85.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not that long ago. Right? Yeah. And so where we have gone from that generation to the generation that looks at you and says, "Thank you for your service."
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? That is a huge leap, not only in public faith and trust, but also I think the way the military has really shown what we're about in those last 40 years or so.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, there are many of our veterans, the stories, like I said, would break your heart. Many of our Vietnam era veterans would tell you, I had food thrown at me. I was called baby killer. I wore my uniform into an airport coming back from Vietnam, or even going to Vietnam, and people would yell at them. They would curse them. They would wish that they were dead. Things like that. That's in my lifetime. Right? That's in my lifetime.
Yeah.
That people were treated like that wore the uniform I wore. Right, for almost 32 years. It has been my life, right? And so when we talk about veterans being treated that way, one of the things, again, that we do when we take our trips, it is that healing can begin. The different parts that we have. We talk about the big send-off, and that's a big deal.
I think that's a huge, like you just said, healing factor.
Yeah.
The fact that people are honoring you getting on the plane, and the fire department out there, and when you come back in, everybody welcoming you home to help change that feeling, of what you did, and to finally get that welcome you deserve.
Absolutely.
See, I didn't get to see the send off, but I got to be there, like I said, when he got off the plane, and just the cheers and everything and the parade they do through the airport. Holy crap. You've been to Louisville Airport.
Yeah.
That entire front part of the terminal was packed, shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. So
it was incredible. All of those guys.
And I am so thankful that other folks around the country really appreciate the veterans that go on an honor flight. I'll just toot the horn of Southern Colorado if you give me 2 minutes. We get tremendous public support. Yeah. Local support. We have usually 3 or 4 mayors that write letters to each single one of our veterans. State representatives write letters to our veterans. We have the send-off. We have the Colorado Springs Police, Colorado State Patrol, Colorado Springs Fire Department. That's just at the actual place that we do our send-offs, and we normally do our send-offs at Colorado Springs Christian School right down the street. Yep. They're very, very gracious with us. They're very kind to us. It's a big deal for them. When we leave, especially if it's during the school day, they let everybody out. The kids are there, and they line the parking lot as we leave. I got veterans that start crying before we even get off the bus, before we get on the bus.
Yeah.
And they see the kids, and they see the tremendous public outpouring.
Yes.
We take a news crew with us. KOAA News 5 has been our media partner since I joined the board. They do such a fantastic job of loving on us, and they send one of their very good newscasters with us. This last trip we had Megan Glova. We've had so many others in the past. They also bring a camera person. The sponsor on our last trip, USAA. Probably everybody at this table, if you don't have USAA insurance, you had it in the past.
Right, yeah.
USAA here in the local community, Audrey Hackworth, Doug Robertson, everyone that works at the local facility here really has welcomed us with open arms, and they were our primary sponsor for this last trip. I'll send you pictures of we met the CEO Juan Andrade. He flew out from San Antonio to meet us in Washington. They have a big display that they put up every Memorial Day weekend called the Poppy Wall. Right? If you need a good cry, go. Right, they put it out every year, and what they do is they put it out specifically for Rolling Thunder and folks who come into DC for Memorial Day weekend, and it's just tremendous. So for our last trip, we had all of those folks meet us at Colorado Springs Christian School. We get a motorcycle escort all the way with the Patriot Guard riders, Colorado Springs Police. When they get to the El Paso County border, right, they pull over and they salute the bus, right? Nothing more emotional, because many of those guys are vets too. Yeah. That's them giving us love, care, and attention, right? The entire way to the Denver airport, every road sign, the one that says, you have an accident here, an accident there, said, welcome and God bless the honor flight of Southern Colorado veterans on their trip to DC. We were getting people blowing their horns. Colorado State Patrol is giving us an escort all the way there. Our buses, we get met at the terminal by Southwest and TSA. I worry sometimes that so many TSA agents come to meet us that there's nobody actually doing their job. There's literally 20 of them, right, that are there to meet us, right? And they're there, and they're taking our bags and wheelchairs and coming up on the bus and saying hello, and then we get an escort from the Denver Police Department, TSA, and Southwest, all the way through the airport. We have our own train. You know how trains can be in that Denver airport. We got our own train to our terminal, right? We take up every available wheelchair elevator.
I was gonna say, they're not all that old.
Yeah, no, but we normally have anywhere from 20 to 25 folks in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Right? Then we use all the elevators to get up to the terminal, get up to our gate, and at the gate there are hundreds of people just waiting for us because they've kind of pre-warned.
Yeah.
Hey, we got an honor flight leaving today.
Yeah.
And so folks will come from other gates and they're there, and you can barely hear yourself because there's so much clapping, so much just noise in general, and they just eat up our veterans. They're shaking hands, taking pictures, selfies, all kinds of stuff, and that's before we even get on the plane.
Yeah.
Once we get on the plane, all of we usually fly Southwest. All of the flight attendants and the pilots, they're telling everybody on the plane, you have a specific honor today. You get to be on a flight with heroes, honor flight of Southern Colorado. And they do the same thing for Rocky Mountain when they fly too. I think they just like us more. And so we get all of that love, care, and attention from Denver all the way to Dulles Airport outside Washington, D.C. When we land at Dulles Airport, they give us a water arch.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Most of our guys have never seen a water arch. I'm Air Force. I've seen it a few times. Right? A lot of Finney flights. And so, but it's just a really, really big deal. And we start the Love Fest early. Now, why do we do that? Because we realize when we start taking folks to the memorials, memories come back. Things that you hadn't thought about in 50 or 60 years, sometimes more, they come back. That's why we have our medical staff. That's why we have our behavioral therapists. That's why we watch out. I can honestly tell you, it is an amazing sight to see an 80-year-old person literally age backwards to that 20-year-old kid that was in the jungle of Vietnam, scared out of his mind. And they confront that really for the first time in their lives, where they are, no kidding, going back to that time. But it's a different take on it. Right? We're there to help this time. We want you to find that name on the wall. We want you to remember that person or that family member or that buddy that you lost. Our very first trip, we had a gentleman that lives in Canyon City, Bubba Thurman, Robert Thurman, young Marine, from I think he's from Kansas originally, and he met his best friend in boot camp. They went through every training together. They were assigned to every unit together. They got to Vietnam. Bubba got sick the day before he was supposed to be point on a mission. His best friend said, "Don't worry, I got you." He got killed. Bubba has lived with that survivor's guilt every single day since. And he's talked about it, not a lot, but it was very, very important for him to find that name. He's been to the wall before, but never with honor flight. And we have a lot of folks that go, well, I've been there before. I've been to D.C. before. I've been to the honor. I've been to the Vietnam Wall. But baby, you've never been like this. And it's when you're in that environment that we provide where you can really confront a lot of things. Right, I'm not going to get teary here. But,
no, I mean you're killing me, dude. I'm over here.
Dude, I've been fighting them half this episode.
You're not lying.
Right?
I'll screw you. You need to be.
Want to be the first one to admit it.
I was going to say you need to be just a speaker. Like the rest of your career, just go and be like.
Well, it's funny you mentioned because I am doing it. So but
I was going to say because you're killing me over here. I'm holding it back. I'm like, fuck, am I going to make it through the rest of this episode?
Look, I encourage people.
There's people I know that watch this. Dude.
And I'm just going to tell you, it's hard not to cry. Honestly, if you don't get emotionally moved by something like it, we haven't even talked about a lot of the stories, right? I told you a little bit about Bear.
Yeah, I was going to say we still need to talk about Bear,
right? And I told you about Russ Widener, who provided you the books that I'm going to give you.
Yes,
by the way, and both of those gentlemen, they're literally two of the hundreds of stories. We've taken over 600 veterans just from Honor Flight of Southern Colorado. The Vietnam era veterans, specifically Vietnam. I mean, Korea has their own stories, and World War II has their own stories, and they fought differently.
Yes,
right.
That's one of the things. Like I was talking to somebody at a VFW about this just for a second here. the difference between the World War II veterans, the Korea veterans, the Vietnam veterans,
Our generation.
Desert Storm, and now GWAT, every one of them. Because I was talking to some Vietnam veterans about this the other morning. When you walked into a VFW, how they didn't feel like they belonged at first. And the Vietnam veterans said the same thing, that the World War II and Korea vets didn't want them in there. And then the Vietnam vets didn't want like my generation in there. And it's that whole, it was a completely different war every time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Every one of us.
Wildly different conflicts in every way imaginable.
Yep, and every one of them kind of gatekeeped. Thankfully, that's kind of now, we've come, just like every generation now, we've realized, hey, you were in different shit, but you were in some shit. Not to cuss so much, but... And I think that's finally starting to come together. Mm-hmm. But every generation did that. Well, you weren't in my war. You don't know what war is. And each one of us has done that. And now I look at people that come in here that are active duty, and they tell me what they do. And I'm like, that was what I did. And then I'm like, that's the same thing somebody else said to me.
Yeah, it's territorial. I get that.
It is.
Right? I remember my first military leaders, two great Marines, who were wonderful humans to me, but they were not that far removed from their Vietnam tour.
Yeah.
Right? And my first military leader, God bless him, he's still living. He was a gunnery sergeant, Alex J. Nevglasky. Now, why is that important? Because any Marine you meet that impacts your life, you remember the middle initial. Okay? Just gonna say that.
Yeah.
To the day I die, it'll be Gunnery Sergeant Alex J. Nevglasky. I don't know what the J stands for, but you never missed it.
Yeah.
Okay? And I was introduced into the military this way. I came from North Carolina. I come off of a bus in Newport, Rhode Island at 2 a.m. I have no clothes. I have not eaten in 12 hours. Mm-hmm. I have no idea where my stuff is, what I'm getting myself into. And I stood at attention for the very first time. And this very nice Marine, gunnery sergeant, the bill of his hat hit me right here on my lip. Uh-huh. That's his height. And he had his DI hat on, right? Perfectly dressed. At 2 in the morning, and he is screaming at me like I stole his wallet. Yes. And I am trying to figure out what I did to this nice man for him to treat me like I did something wrong. And what really set him off was, and I had no idea it was a big deal.
You were there.
in my bags that I did not have because they're lost somewhere in some airport. That weren't next to me was my shaving kit. Uh-huh. And I had this little mouse of a mustache. I mean, you needed glasses with a magnifying glass to see this mustache.
Oh, God.
To this day, I cannot do that, right? You may not have survived the night.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to. I had just thought of if I had managed to get in, I might not have survived simply because of shaving standards alone.
We had a guy in my basic training that had to shave twice a day.
Yeah,
because he just grew that fast.
Yep,
that would have been me.
And
he got lit up
guys. I'm very close to about 100 of my Naval Academy Prep School class of 1983.
And there's still the shadow.
And there were guys. We're in their 60s now. Our number starts with a 6. We were teenagers then, and there were guys in my unit that had to shave twice a day.
Yeah,
right. They just looked like
Oh yeah, no.
They just looked like the Grim Reaper, right?
Been smooth since I was 12.
Yeah, they made him. They would watch him shave, and then by about lunchtime, it was already like
you need to go again.
Yeah.
Right. You need to go again.
So he had to keep it with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
And so my shaving kit was in my bag that I did not have.
Yes.
And Gunnery Sergeant Alex J. Nevglasky dry shaved me under a street light with a disposable razor.
No.
I can remember
You
that.
started in a bad place and still managed to make it get worse.
And I had cuts because he was not a gentleman.
Oh yeah, no.
As soon as you said nice Marine, I thought this is going to be brutal.
Gunny Ski, who actually retired as a chief warrant, but Gunny Ski shaved me. And I will remember these words until my dying day. This is, when they tell you when you pass, you have a tape of your life that runs through. That my tape will stop there.
Just there.
It'll stop right there.
It's going to get stuck on loop.
Right, it's on loop, right? And he said, "You will not have hair in my United States Marine Corps." And every part of my smart behind 18-year-old self wanted to say, "Well, I'm not going into your United States Marine Corps." Right?
Can I go home?
I figured it was probably best not to push that. Not then, right?
Yep.
Gunny Ski wound up being one of the best people in my life to this day. And I hurt. So now he shaves me. And he's hitting me
The
with
whole
the
time.
bill.
Woodpecker. Yeah,
Like
they
this,
used to call it
right?
woodpecker.
And I am literally bleeding.
Yep.
Right? And I could tell you at that point, I didn't care how much it bled. It kind of wasn't important at the time.
Yeah.
Right? Because Gunny Ski was going to get his point across.
Yes.
And then when we had to get up for 6 a.m., got up at 6 a.m. for our first PT, I ran in civilian clothes because I didn't have my stuff. So again, I just remember that, and Gunny Ski, and at the time Major James N. Mattis. I'm sure you've heard that name before.
Yes, sir.
He was my company commander at the time, and
Yeah.
he one of my company commanders, and he was just the single
just drop that
greatest gentleman. I to this day. I'm 62 years old. He is still in the top 5 of great people I've ever known, because he showed me grace.
Yeah.
Right. And excuse me.
See, now you're doing it to yourself.
But I have such love for those guys.
Yeah.
And our company commander was an actual former POW. His name was Richard Stratton, went by Dick, along with John McCain, were the longest serving Navy personnel in POWs as American POWs. And those three, and my great friends from NAPS, were really what sustained me, because that was my introduction into the military.
Yeah.
And I was a terrible student. And Major Mattis had to bail me out more than a few times. But I'll never forget what he told me, which was, "You can do this." Now, I'm 18 years old, 19 actually by that time, and no one in my life had ever told me that.
Yeah.
And that was the moment I said the military is going to be a career. Now, fast forward to where we are today, I understand that when we do things for our veterans, specifically our Vietnam era veterans, that's a way for me to pay homage back to them.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I do it, because I love what we do and I love our mission. It's not easy, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it is, I think, what we should be doing for our veterans.
Absolutely.
Right? They are the ones who went through a whole lot more than we did just to serve. I can't even imagine what it's like to be drafted, so you didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
Go into a war you may or may not agree with, but you fight for your person to your right, to your left, to your front, your back, right? That's what they teach us,
Yes.
right? You fight for that crew, that small team, right? You fight for your family to then survive.
Yeah.
More than maybe one tour in many of our guys' cases, and to then have your country vilify you,
Yeah.
call you names, attack you. One of our veterans,
For something that was never a choice.
right? One of
Yeah.
our veterans, not on this trip, but the trip before, our mission before this, I won't say his name, but he talked about how he was from a small town, grew up in this small town. All of his friends, family are in this small town. He gets drafted, goes to Marine Corps boot camp. He has a few days before he ships out to Vietnam. The people, some of his closest friends, bring him out under the guise of, "We want to celebrate you." And they beat him so badly that he's in the hospital.
Jeez.
And he has to stay in the hospital for almost 2 months before he heals enough to then go to war.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, I will just tell you, that might bring up some hard feelings for me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right? Maybe not
Yeah.
going back to the hometown for the high school reunion, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right? But to think that so many of our, and I call them cherished heroes. You've heard me talk about
No,
it.
you.
They are cherished heroes to me because I can't understand how we're getting closer to our 250th anniversary, right? We owe such a debt of gratitude to not only every veteran who's ever worn a uniform,
Absolutely.
right? And we start all the way back to the beginning,
Yeah.
right? Every veteran of every age, every color, every gender. Every person who is strapped on a uniform of this United States military is owed a debt of gratitude.
Absolutely.
Period. Okay? But then to have to counter your love of country with the fact that many people in your country literally hate you
Yeah.
for doing what you were told to do.
Yeah.
Okay? Boggles my mind. And when we talk about it specifically with our Vietnam era veterans, it is hard for them because World War II was considered the greatest generation.
Yes.
Okay, that's a name that was given to them by Tom Brokaw to sell a book, right? They were a great generation.
Absolutely.
I cannot say they were the greatest generation because every generation after that was as great, at least in my eyes. Vietnam doesn't get frankly, the credit it deserves because the war was fought so differently than World War II.
Yeah. Well, because they could sell World War II.
Well, of course they could,
Yeah.
right? But the thing about World War II, when you went, you went.
Yeah.
You didn't come home for breaks.
Yeah.
It wasn't televised.
No, you were there for 4 years, 3 years, however long.
You were,
Yeah.
right? If you survived, you stayed,
Yeah.
right? Same thing for Korea. Vietnam, there were breaks.
Yeah.
You served a year, you may have come back. We've had gentlemen who can't tell us how many times they served in country on different tours because it's classified still.
Yeah.
Right? We've had a few of those.
That's another thing, not just the public. I mean, I think Vietnam, the government was as shady as as it's ever been to our own guys in uniform.
Well, yeah, we got the guys that come back and they'll be like, "Oh, I wasn't in Vietnam, but I was around Vietnam, places they weren't supposed to be, things they weren't."
Oh, yeah.
For legal
Yeah.
I
purposes,
mean,
I wasn't
and then
Vietnam.
you've got Agent Orange and all of that stuff, the lack of care afterwards. Like, yeah, Uncle Sam screwed our Vietnam vets hard.
Oh yeah,
And to have to fight that never-ending battle specifically for our Vietnam era veterans. How many decades before our U.S. government would acknowledge that our veterans suffered the effects of Agent Orange?
I talked to a guy at that breakfast who said it was 32 years before he was going to be able to get any kind of disability rating at all.
Wow.
He'd fought it for 32 years because they just, Agent Orange, that's not a thing. This isn't a thing. We got we have a couple of the photos that look like paintings that are up on the wall by a great guy who comes in here. Him and his mom. His mom runs a portable Veterans Day display from like every male in their family ever has served in the military, and she does this great display. Well, he has the symptoms because his dad got Agent Orange, and now he grew up disabled because of that. It's not just the people that were affected; it's generational.
Well, I mean, many Agent Orange was actually passed along in the DNA. There are many people who were born with deformities, or they were born
Yeah, that's
with.
the scariest part of it. Yes, it
generational.
was terrible to the people who were directly affected by it, but then the
families.
second and third order effects of it were just.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something you've heard me talk about a while back here on this podcast. Was when I was in Vietnam, I actually went to one of those orphanages in right outside of Hanoi, of all of the kids and grandkids of the people were affected by Agent Orange, and yes, the deformities were very severe.
Yeah.
They're real.
And it was scary, but they were just kids just trying to live their best life as best they could, but they couldn't interact with normal society. It was that bad.
And our government did everything they could to. That's not a thing. This didn't actually happen, or it's not from that.
Yeah, and I will say that
there's still stuff that's only come to light. They've only begrudgingly admitted because they could no longer
Look
deny
at the
it.
look at the awards, like you were talking about. The awards that 30, 40 years, 50 years later from that story you told me earlier, and I've seen it too, where all these years go by, and then they're like, oh, by the way, we probably owe you this medal for what you did, and it's like.
Well,
You're
I
just
will
now
t-
catching up.
Quietly
Well,
under the
I will
table.
tell you that Bear, who you'll meet,
Yep.
when he first, they sent him his Silver Star in the mail,
Yeah. Just
Wow.
right? They sent it to him. He didn't even know he had been eligible for it.
Yeah.
He was just trying to survive that day. And he told me with his very first Silver Star, he's from Gary, Indiana, he threw it into the closest river.
yeah. What's that supposed to mean when you
Right,
just
and he just felt betrayed. That's the word he uses, betrayed. Now, imagine all those feelings
yeah.
when we bring somebody on an honor flight.
Yeah.
They're combating so much, right? So many feelings at one time. And so what we try to do in a very, very small way is to say thank you.
Yeah.
We want them to understand that you are loved. You are adored. You are cherished. We were not there with you, but we're with you now.
Yes.
And that community that we build is important because this is your spot. These are your people, right? Whether it's male or female, whether you served in country, out of country, it doesn't matter. What matters is the service,
Yeah.
not where or in what component, right? It's the service.
Yes.
I met a gentleman, 6 tours,
Yeah.
Delta Force. He refuses to go on an honor flight. And I know his name. I'm not gonna call him out. Every time I see him, I'm pretty persistent.
Yes, you are.
Okay. And I look at him and I go, okay.
Is
Not
this
now.
the one?
He said, not now. Right. And I understand what it takes to confront those demons.
Yeah.
Right. To confront those folks that died either next to you or under your command.
Yeah.
It is hard. And one of the things we try to really emphasize to our folks is bring that with you, right? That baggage that you carry, that emotional baggage, the moral injury, the survivor's guilt, the shame, regret. We as veterans, many of us suffer through that,
Yeah.
okay? But when you have a safe place to start letting that go, it can make a world of difference. We had a gentleman who I'll bring in here. You'd like him.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to this.
His last name is Sip, so I think you might be able to entice him to have one or two of your delicious beverages.
Yes.
But his first name's Hilton. Hilton was a Marine, and when we took him on our last trip to DC in over Memorial Day weekend. He was really, really quiet, right? Kind of gruff. When we first got on first met him and met him at the pre-flight luncheon a couple weeks before, because that's when we really try to bring folks in and kind of let folks kind of meet each other, right? Figure each other out, figure out who's going to be on the trip with them. Maybe they know someone, maybe they don't. They meet their guardian for the first time. It's really where we try to introduce everybody to everybody. And Hilton was really, really quiet. We get to our send-off, very, very quiet. Had a great guardian named Seth, and Seth was very, very patient with him, right? He was Hilton wasn't very kind to him at first.
Yeah.
So we go and spend our day down watching we go to the memorials. We go World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Mr. Lincoln. We went to the Navy Memorial. We went to the Air Force Memorial. Our day was a little different because we had things to do with USAA. They met us on the mall,
Yeah.
had a bunch of pictures with them. beautiful, beautiful day. So we get everybody back. And Hilton, you could tell he wanted to say something, wasn't quite sure how it was going to come out. So one of the things we do for our last dinner as a group is we invite our veterans to be the guest speakers.
Yeah.
And come up and talk about your honor flight experience. Talk about, if you want, your combat experience, your war experience, your career experience, really whatever is coming up for you. And that's intentional. I have never cried so much or so hard watching one of our veterans just open up.
Yeah.
And when he opened up, he went all the way back. How he got in the Marine Corps, what it was like for him, how much it meant for him to be a Marine. And then in between the sniffles and, ugly cry, right? Ugly cry for minutes. It took him a while just to compose himself to say what was on his heart.
Yeah.
And that type of powerful emotional outpouring, we try to get folks to start tapping that, right? It was a different trip, this one that we took the last time. I had a great team. Tammy Ball, who's one of our board members, was the lead for it. It was going to be a different kind of trip, but Memorial Day, don't know if you've ever been at the Vietnam Wall during Memorial Day weekend.
No.
They put the pictures of the folks, families, thousands, come in and put in pictures of their loved ones who are on that wall. And it is it all the way down that wall, as probably 2 feet deep, are just pictures and poems and letters written by the family or written by children. They're placed along that wall. And the folks that run the National Park Service, the folks that run that, they don't throw that stuff away. They collect it and put it into a warehouse, right? Because it's important.
Yeah.
Right? But to see that tells you how powerful of a space that is, right?
Yeah.
I still can't speak in front of that wall.
Yeah.
I just can't, right?
We do a little a table like most people do here, but we do something a little different. And every year, I keep telling myself it's going to be easier, and each year, I swear it just gets a little harder. So I set up pictures of all of my friends that I've lost, and I ask anybody else who comes in if they want to bring a picture or a token or a remembrance. And we fill that table to the point where we usually end up filling 2 or 3 tables each Memorial Day, and it's incredibly impactful. And yeah, fuck, I still can't even talk about it. But it's
take mine. I've been using it. It's okay.
Just seeing their faces each year, and I buy them a beer, and we sit there and we talk, and that's a tiny fraction of the scale of what you do, and even that is. It's hard. Every year that goes by, it's still. See, you're killing me with this.
but what I will tell you, in all honesty, right? This is a hard time for me anyway, because I do the same thing. I remember the ones that I lost. I remember the ones that I can't see, right? And for me, I can only speak from my personal experience. The holidays, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Veterans Day. Pretty much no good those days, right? I just am. And my loving spouse, she gives me as much room as I need, right? Emotionally, it is hard because you do live with that guilt. Right? How can this person be alive and not me?
Yeah.
And so many of our veterans, specifically from the Vietnam era, live with that.
Yeah.
And we try to let them know it's okay. God had a reason to keep you.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, there is a reason for that, and you can't say it should have been me,
Yeah.
right? Because that wasn't your call.
Yeah. No, that
That's the thing.
that was beyond.
That is beyond your
Yeah.
comprehension, right? That is God's hand,
Yeah.
right? And because it wasn't your day that day,
Yeah.
meant that there was a greater plan for you, and we talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that guilt that many people have lived with, like I said, for sometimes almost 60 years or more,
Yeah.
right? You have to reconcile that with the fact that your life was not lived in vain because you did not perish on a day.
Yeah.
It is for you to have been here for something else and for you to still be here
Yeah.
for the good that you can give. Bear talks about how he could not reconcile himself to live with the guilt that he didn't die that day that he saved 12 people. It bothers him to this day. I had him speak to my my football team. I coached down at Colorado Springs Christian School. Go Lions. He spoke to those guys, right? And I brought him in. And he brought in his silver star and the newspaper clippings and the flag and everything. It was a big case. And when he talked to my guys, this is how he started his story. Hello, my name is Bear Penn. And people call me Bear because I hug everybody. And on my 19th birthday, I lost 16 men in my platoon. He holds it
Yeah.
to this day that that's his fault. And I told him every time I see him, I said, at some point, you should talk about the 12 that you saved
Yeah.
and not lament the 16 that you lost.
Yeah.
That wasn't your call. That wasn't your choice, and it wasn't by your hand. You have to understand that that was the God you serve doing his job,
Yeah.
right? Your job has been to live your life in a way that honors those folks that you lost.
Yes.
And that's what we try to tell our folks. Frankly, that's how I try to live my life every day, right? I understand I'm still here to do good things for others.
Absolutely.
And then when we bring that into Honor Flight of Southern Colorado, again, we've got such great people on our board, right? Many people who've served in combat, many people who've seen combat, many people who've never served at all,
Yeah.
right? We've got a segment of our board that's never been in uniform, but they get it,
Yeah.
right? They get not just the nuance, but they also get the why. And when we talk about the why for Honor Flight, it is to pay back.
Yes.
It is to give back. But more importantly, it is to let those ones that we serve understand we are thankful for you. We don't think of your life as being a lost cause.
Yeah.
You, for whatever happened to you in your life, right? We've had folks that had long-term substance abuse, folks who've had many other things happen to them. The key part in all of that is you're here for a reason. And when he spoke to my football team, you could have heard a pin drop in a room of very loud, very sweaty, very stinky high school football players.
Yeah.
And to a person, they came up and shook his hand. Right? Yep. Bear is beloved. Down at Whiteville High School, they're actually naming either the court or part of the gym or part of the school for him.
Nice.
Because he's such a supporter, right? That's the good you put into the world.
Yeah.
Those kids that call you Bear. And we're talking 30 years plus of people who come back to that high school just to find him.
Yeah.
Right? And to be around him and to talk to him. I'm sure 30 years ago he didn't think he was that person.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
But now, this is your goodness that you put back. And so when we give back, when we try to talk to our veterans, and I may be going over time, I apologize.
Yeah, no, we're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been like, we're over time, but damn it, I sure as
Yeah,
hell don't
no.
want to stop it.
This is easily like a 3-hour episode.
Yeah. And there's so much more, right, that we can talk about.
Yeah, no,
but,
we have got to bring you back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I want to bring,
100%.
and when I come back,
Bring
I wanna
Bear.
bring a veteran.
Yes.
I'll bring Bear and the books. Let me just
Yes.
go ahead.
Oh,
sorry.
See, you don't even have a beer in your spilling.
That's just
We'll get
terrible.
it after
You
we're done.
almost made it through the episode.
I want to give this to you.
Yes.
These are books that were written by one of our veterans. His name is Russ Widener. He's written 4 books. Now, Russ, I gave you his story when we were sitting over
Yeah.
before the episode.
No, these are amazing, and one of them is going to take me a while to read. This one I can probably get through quickly.
Yeah.
However, I'm infantry, so this one's going to take me a while.
Yeah, but I told you it's written
double-spaced.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
thank
double
God.
spaced and
Yeah.
with some small words, so you should be able to knock that out.
Yes.
But Russ had been a person who struggled, right? I gave you the story, right? He was an Army nurse after that,
Yeah.
so he saw a lot. It was only after he came back from his honor flight, Mission 17, that he was able to actually harness all those words that had been just rolling around his life
Yeah.
and his mind for 60 plus years.
Yeah.
Okay? 19-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid. He saw so much, but he just couldn't write about it.
Yeah.
And more importantly, he couldn't write about the nice young man that died the day Russ thinks he should have died.
Yeah.
Okay? I would love for you to have that story with him.
No, absolutely. I would love to have him on the show as well. So before this thing cuts off because it's out of memory, but I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show, Oscar.
Yes.
This was very seriously. I want to get you back on. We could do this for hours.
I'm free.
And this may be the least me and him have talked. We're just
I
like
know.
a couple of school kids. Like,
Yeah. So thank you very much, Oscar. I really appreciate you coming on the show. We're going to post all the links for the Honor Flight Foundation and how people can help and what they can do, starting off with coming in here, 4th of July, Independence Day, and every single penny of every squadron and every flight we sell that day, we are donating directly to the Honor Flight. And just thank you so much. I can't even begin. We're going to have to make another episode.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to get you back on this episode. And so for everybody out there, I'm a little messed up now.
special live podcast on the 4th, maybe?
Right. I mean, maybe we can bring it back. 4th of July. That's actually a really good idea.
I'll be
we
back.
could bring
We
in
could
through.
even, we could even bust that one out on just do a Facebook Live.
Yes, just do a Facebook.
Podcast?
Yes, this is happening. Okay. Anyways, so from all of us here at Wackadoo, don't just do it.
Wackadoo it.
I almost clapped.